Morning sunlight floods the spacious living room of Thompson House in Atlanta, reflecting on the dark wood furniture and paintings carefully selected by Evelyn. It is a home that exudes warmth and success, with every detail representing the family's journey of hard work and achievement. Robert Thompson, a 52-year-old man with an authoritative presence and warm smile, stood in the middle of the room chatting animatedly with his wife Evelyn, an elegant 50-year-old woman. Their two children, David, 26, and Julia, 24, were in the kitchen preparing a special breakfast for their father's birthday. Little did they know that the day's celebration would take an unexpected turn, testing their resilience and unity as a family. "I can hardly believe I'm turning 52, Robert said with a smile as he watched Evelyn adjust his tie. "You age like fine wine," Evelyn replied with a loving smile. "Tonight we will have a memorable celebration at Grand Lux. They are famous for their impeccable food." David entered the room with a breakfast tray. "Dad, it's your day, we need to make sure you're treated like a king," he said, placing the tray on the coffee table. "We made Dad's favorite dish, blueberry pancakes and Colombian coffee. Dad really knows how to pamper a man," Robert said, sitting down and beginning to serve himself. Julia followed closely behind David, holding a gift wrapped in cellophane. "And don't forget, here's a little gift from all of us." Robert opened the gift and saw an elegant watch. "Dad, you really don't have to do this." "Of course we did, Dad," Julia replied, hugging him. "Dad deserves the best." After breakfast, everyone begins to prepare for the evening. Evelyn spent much of the afternoon choosing the perfect outfit, an elegant black dress that paired perfectly with her silver accessories. David and Julia are also preparing to make sure they are ready for the event. Meanwhile, Robert heads to his home office to finalize a few final work details. He is a successful businessman who owns a chain of technology stores in Atlanta. His dedication to his work is one of the reasons he is able to provide a comfortable life for his family. Evelyn walked into the office and found him immersed in paperwork. "Robert, you're not going to work on your birthday, right?" she asked, placing her hand on his shoulder. "I'm almost done, I promise," he said, turning to her. "I want everything to be in order so we can enjoy the evening without worry." Evelyn smiled and kissed his forehead. "We're all very proud of you. Now let's finish so we can prepare together." When night falls, the family gets ready. They were excited and eager to celebrate at Grand Lux, one of the most luxurious restaurants in Atlanta. For the Thompsons, this was a night of celebration not only of Robert's birthday but also of family achievement and unity. "Let's make this night one of the best nights of our lives," Robert said as everyone left the house and got into the car. "Dad, today is to celebrate you and everything we've achieved together," David replied, starting the car. The trip to the restaurant was filled with laughter and lively conversation, each person sharing their expectations for the night. Little do they know that the evening will soon take an unexpected turn, testing their endurance and unity as a family. The night was clear and cold when the Thompson family arrived at Grand Lux. The elegant building is illuminated by soft lights that radiate a private atmosphere. The valet opened the car door and Robert, Evelyn, David, and Julia got out, admiring the place. "This place is even more impressive than I imagined," Evelyn commented, taking Robert's arm. "Really," Robert agreed, smiling at his wife. "Tonight we will enjoy the best that Atlanta has to offer." The family entered the restaurant and were greeted by an impeccably dressed host. "Welcome to Grand Lux," the host said with a polite smile. "Do you have a reservation?" "Yes, we have a reservation in Thompson's name," David replied. The homeowner quickly checked the computer. "Of course, Mr. Thompson. Please follow me." As they walked through the restaurant, the family couldn't help but notice the lavish decorations, the perfectly placed crystal chandeliers, the tables and the sophisticated atmosphere. They were led to a table near a window with a beautiful view of the illuminated city. "This place is truly breathtaking," Julia commented, looking around. "I know you'll like it here, Julia," Robert replied, sitting in his chair. I think we made a great choice. A waiter arrived to take their drink orders. Good evening, I'm Carlos, your waiter tonight. Would you like to start with a few drinks? Yes, please, Evelyn said. I would like a glass of red wine, and I'll order a glass of champagne to start the night, Robert added. I'd like a mocktail, Julia requested. I'll order a bourbon, David finished. Perfect. Carlos said, taking note of the orders. I'll be right back with your drinks. The family begins to look at the menu, discussing their options. What do you think about ordering some appetizers to start? David suggested. The beef carpaccio looks delicious. Great idea, Evelyn agreed. And maybe tuna tartar as well. They waited for their drinks and appetizers, the conversation flowing naturally, filled with laughter and memories. The restaurant is cozy, the atmosphere adds to the feeling of celebration. The drinks arrived and Carlos walked out, leaving the family to continue their evening. A toast to the best dad in the world, Julia said, raising her glass. And the most wonderful husband, Evelyn added, and the man who taught us everything about hard work and resilience, David finished. Robert smiled touchingly. Thank you, my family. You are my greatest gift, everyone responded, clinking glasses and taking sips of their drinks. Meanwhile, on the other side of the room, a man was watching the Thompson family with disdain. His name was Richard, a 45-year-old white businessman known for his outdated and prejudiced views. What a ridiculous sight, Richard muttered to his wife. A family like that doesn't belong in a place like this. Richard, don't start, his wife replied, clearly uncomfortable. They belong in the fields. Not here, Richard continued, ignoring his wife's protests. Back at the Thompson table, the appetizers are brought out and the family continues to enjoy their evening, unaware of Richard's hostile presence. Little did they know that what started as a night of celebration would soon become a test of their strength and unity. The evening is still peaceful at Grand Lux. Thompson's dinner was wonderful, filled with laughter and lively conversation, floating. Robert felt extremely happy to be with his loved ones in such a special setting. Dad, do you remember our trip up the mountain a few years ago? David asked, laughing. The time we almost got stuck in the snow, how could Dad forget? Robert replied, laughing. It was a real adventure, the whole family laughed and shared stories. Richard stood up from the table, leaving his wife alone in discomfort. He walked towards Thompson's desk with a look of contempt on his face. Sorry to interrupt, Richard began, his voice filled with arrogance, but do you really think you belong here? Thompson's table became silent, the atmosphere changed instantly. Robert looked up and met Richard's eyes. Sorry? Robert asked, keeping calm, can you hear me? Richard continued, undeterred by the disapproving looks around him. This is a fancy restaurant, not a place for, well, people like you. Evelyn was stunned and grabbed Robert's hand under the table. David and Julia exchanged looks of disbelief, feeling a surge of anger and sadness. People like us? Robert kept getting up slowly. Are you implying that we don't belong here because of the color of our skin? Exactly, Richard said without remorse. You should be somewhere more suitable, maybe in a field. The entire restaurant fell into complete silence, all eyes focused on the scene taking place. Robert took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. Listen, Robert began, his voice firm but controlled. My family and I have as much right to be here as anyone else. We work hard, contribute to society and deserve respect. Respect. Richard smiled coldly and disdainfully. That respect is something you earn, not demand, and you don't deserve it here. A clearly upset David also stood up. You think you can talk to us like this just because we're in a fancy restaurant? This is unacceptable anywhere. The restaurant manager noticed the commotion and rushed to intervene. Gentlemen, please keep things calm. Can I help? Yes, Evelyn said firmly. We want this man out of the restaurant. He is harassing us and is extremely racist. The manager looked at Richard and then at the Thompson family, clearly uncomfortable. "I apologize for any inconvenience, Mr. Thompson. Perhaps it would be better if, your family isn't going anywhere," Robert interrupted. "We are not the ones causing the problem," Richard stepped forward, still defiant. "This is ridiculous. I'm a regular here, you should listen to what I have to say." "That's enough," Robert said, looking directly at Richard. "Let's go, family. Tonight is not the place for us." Solemn head held high, Robert led his family out of the restaurant, leaving behind a room full of stares and whispers. Evelyn held his arm tightly while David and Julia followed closely behind their father. "It's terrible," Julia said, her voice shaking. "How can someone be so cruel? It's terrible, my dear," Robert replied, trying to comfort her. "But we will not let this break our spirits. We will go home and decide what to do next. We will fight for justice." As they left the restaurant, Robert felt both angry and sad. He knew this battle would not end there and that his family's dignity and justice needed to be protected. "This night doesn't end here," Robert told his family. "We will turn this pain into strength. We will seek the justice we deserve." Stepping out of the restaurant, the atmosphere became heavy. Robert, Evelyn, David and Julia were extremely shocked by the incident, but Robert knew he had to stay calm to protect and lead his family. A group of restaurant customers who witnessed the incident followed them with looks of solidarity and murmurs of support. Some even went out to encourage, "Mr. Thompson," said a middle-aged woman who had approached them on the sidewalk. "I saw what happened. It's absurd. If you need a witness, I'm willing to help." "Thank you," Robert replied. "Gratefully. We appreciate your offer. We will need all the support we can get." Evelyn looked at Robert with teary eyes but also with pride. "You handled it very well, Robert. I don't know if I could have kept as calm as you," Robert sighed, feeling the weight of the night on his shoulders. "It's difficult, but we can't give him the satisfaction of seeing us lose our temper. Let's go home and discuss the next step." On the way to the car, David was clearly agitated. "Dad, I can't believe something like this can still happen in the 21st century. We can't let this go." "We won't, son," Robert replied, placing a hand on David's shoulder. "But we need to have a strategy. We'll get a lawyer and make sure this doesn't happen to anyone else," Julia added, holding her mother's hand. "It was the most horrible thing I've ever experienced, but I'm sure we can make a difference by reporting that man and the restaurant." While in the car, the conversation continues as each family member expresses their feelings and ideas on how to handle the situation. Robert knew that this was a battle they could not afford to lose, not just for themselves but for all the other families who faced the same type of discrimination. When he got home, Robert gathered his family in the living room. "We'll call Samuel Walker as soon as we wake up," he said. "When it comes to a rights lawyer, he will help us create a plan of action." Evelyn agreed, still holding Robert's hand. "We need justice, not just for ourselves but for all those who face racism every day." The next morning, Robert woke up early and called Samuel Walker first. Samuel, a respected lawyer known for his tireless fight against discrimination, listened attentively as Robert recounted the incident. "This is unacceptable, Robert," Samuel said. "We need to arrange a meeting as soon as possible. We must act quickly and make sure to collect all evidence while it is still fresh." "Thank you, Samuel," Robert said, feeling a little relieved. "We'll be the first they do tomorrow." After hanging up the phone, Robert felt a weight lifted from his shoulders. "We have a meeting with Samuel tomorrow morning," he told Evelyn. "That's great," Evelyn replied. "We know we're in good hands." The next day, the Thompson family went to Samuel Walker's office, where they were warmly welcomed. Samuel, a 48-year-old man with a majestic look and determination in his eyes, sat down with them and began to discuss the case. "We need all the information you can provide," Samuel said. We will file a petition, sue the restaurant and the man who harassed you. We need to get this right and make sure this incident is not overlooked." Robert, Evelyn, David and Julia spent many hours detailing the case, providing every possible piece of information and testimony. Samuel assured them that his office would work tirelessly to gather all the necessary evidence and build a strong case. "We will seek justice," Samuel said firmly. "And we will make sure this never happens to anyone else." When the Thompson family left Samuel's office, they felt a renewed sense of hope. They knew the fight would be difficult, but they were determined to fight for what was right. The strength and solidarity of the family will be their greatest weapons in their pursuit of justice. As the Thompson family left Samuel Walker's office, the air was filled with a mixture of hope and determination. They know they have a long way to go, but they are ready to face the challenge together. "Dad, do you really think we'll make it?" "Justice?" Julia asked, her voice still tinged with uncertainty. "Yes, we will," Robert replied, holding his daughter's hand tightly. "With Samuel at our side and the truth at our side, I have faith we will be heard." Evelyn looked at Robert, her eyes reflecting both pride and concern. "We need to be strong, all of us. This is the time to show our resilience." When they arrived home, the family gathered in the living room to discuss next steps. David, always the most impulsive, was eager to take action. "We need to tell our story to the world," David said. "The media can be a powerful ally. If more people know what happened, we can push for real change." Robert agrees but must be cautious. "It's true that the media can help, but we need to be careful. We don't want this to become a circus. We need to make sure our message is clear and strong." Evelyn suggested, "Maybe we should start with social media. We can share our story and see how people react. If we have enough support, we can put it in the press." Julia, who has experience with social media, began planning. "I could write a detailed post about what happened and share it on Facebook and Instagram. We need to be honest and direct, showing the reality of what we face." With her family in support, Julia began working on the post, while Robert and Evelyn discussed how best to handle the inevitable attention. That night, Julia's post quickly attracted attention. Comments of support and outrage began to flood their accounts. People from across the country have stood in solidarity with the Thompson family, sharing their own stories of discrimination and expressing their support. "Let's see," said Julia, who showed her phone screen to her parents. "Our story is spreading. People are really supporting us." Robert felt a wave of emotion when he saw the positive reaction. "This is a good sign. It means we are not alone in this fight." By the next morning, Thompson's story had been widely shared. Several local journalists have contacted and are interested in reporting on the case. "We need to prepare an official statement," Evelyn suggested. "Something that summarizes our experience and goals." Samuel Walker helped the family draft a brief and powerful statement. "On the night of July 15th, our family was the victim of a racist act at an upscale restaurant in Atlanta. We were publicly harassed and humiliated by a customer, and the restaurant management did not take appropriate action to protect our rights. We are seeking justice not only for ourselves but for all families who face discrimination. We believe that everyone deserves to be treated with respect and dignity, regardless of the color of their skin. We rely on the support of our community to ensure this never happens again." With the command ready, the family began scheduling interviews with many local TV channels and newspapers. Their story is not just about a single incident but about a systemic problem that needs to be addressed. In an interview for a local television station, Robert expressed his feelings clearly and emotionally. "We are fighting not just for ourselves but for all those who have been silenced and marginalized. This is a call for change so we can create a world where everyone be treated equally." Evelyn added, "We cannot let hate and ignorance win. We believe in justice and human kindness, and we are here to ensure that our children and future generations we don't have to face what we went through. The community response was overwhelmingly supportive. Protests began breaking out in Atlanta, with marchers standing in solidarity with Thompson's family and calling for change. The incident at Grand Lux became a larger movement, fueled by the courage and determination of one family seeking justice. With growing support from the community and media, the Thompson family was ready to take the next step, taking their case to court. Tensions were high, but their determination to fight for their rights overcame any fear. On the morning of the preliminary hearing, the Thompson family prepares to face Richard and the restaurant in court. Robert adjusted his tie as he watched his family prepare with a mixture of pride and trepidation. "We're ready for this," Robert said, holding Evelyn's hand. "I know it will be difficult, but we will get through it." "Yes, we'll get through this together," Evelyn replied, squeezing his hand. "Our truth will prevail." David and Julia were clearly nervous but determined. "Dad, we're going to show everyone that no one can treat us this way," David said with a look of determination in his eyes. "Yes, we will," Julia agreed, holding David's hand. "We're doing this not just for ourselves, but for everyone who has gone through something similar." At the courthouse, the family was greeted by Samuel Walker, who guided them to the courtroom. The lawyer seemed confident and prepared to face the challenge. "Let's stay calm and let the truth speak for itself," Samuel said as they walked down the hallway. "We have a strong case." In the courtroom, Richard and his lawyer were present, as well as representatives from the restaurant. The judge, a middle-aged man with a serious expression, entered the room and the hearing began. Samuel opened the case with a powerful statement, detailing the incident at the restaurant and the discrimination the Thompson family faced. He presented evidence and testimony, including those of customers who were present that night. "This is not just an isolated incident," Samuel said, looking directly at the judge. "This is a type of behavior that cannot be tolerated in our society." Richard's lawyer attempted to refute the allegations, claiming that the incident was a misunderstanding and that Richard had no intention of discriminating. However, the evidence presented by Samuel was convincing. One of the witnesses, the woman who approached the family on the restaurant sidewalk, gave emotional testimony. "I was there. I heard everything that was said," she asserted. "It was clearly an act of racism and we cannot ignore it." During recess, the Thompson family gathered in the hallway. The tension was obvious, but their determination remained unwavering. "We're doing the right thing," Robert said, hugging his family. "No matter how difficult it is, we are fighting for what we believe in." Back in the courtroom, the judge paused before delivering his verdict. Based on the evidence presented clearly, there was discrimination. This court does not tolerate racism in any form. The Thompson family deserves justice. The judge's ruling comes as a relief to the family. Richard was ordered to pay damages and the restaurant was required to implement strict anti-discrimination policies. Leaving the courthouse, the Thompson family was greeted by a group of supporters. They clapped and held up signs of solidarity. Robert emotionally spoke to the crowd. "Today is a day of victory not only for us but for everyone who believes in equality and justice," he said. "Our fight does not end here. We will continue to fight hatred and ignorance and build a better future for all." Evelyn, standing next to Robert, added, "We are incredibly grateful for all the support we have received. This shows that when we come together, we can make a difference." David and Julia also thanked the crowd, reaffirming their commitment to justice and equality. The Thompson family's journey is not over, but they have taken an important step in the fight against discrimination. United and determined, they know they can face any challenge and continue to fight for a just world for everyone. After their victory in court, the Thompson family began to see the positive effects of their courage. However, they know that the fight against discrimination is not over. The next step involved ensuring that the Grand Lux restaurant took meaningful measures to prevent future incidents of racism. days after the court ruling, the restaurant issued a public statement on its social media channels and official website. In a statement, owner John Whitaker expressed regret for the incident and announced the implementation of new anti-discrimination policies. "This is a start," Evelyn commented as she read the statement on her phone. "But words are not enough. We need to see concrete actions," Robert agreed. "Let's meet with them. We need to make sure these policies are actually implemented and not just a public relations move to save the restaurant's image." Samuel Walker helped arrange a meeting between the Thompson family and the owners of Grand Lux. In the restaurant's conference room, John Whitaker and his management team were eagerly waiting. "Mr. Thompson, Mrs. Thompson, thank you for coming," John said, holding out his hand. "On behalf of Grand Lux, I want to sincerely apologize for what happened. This does not represent the values we want to uphold here." Robert shook John's hand but kept a serious expression. "We appreciate Mr. Whitaker's words, but we are here to ensure real changes are made." John nodded, looking worried. "I understand. We are committed to implementing mandatory sensitivity and diversity training for all of our employees. Additionally, we are establishing a hotline to resolve discrimination complaints and establish an inclusion committee," Evelyn interjected, her voice determined. "We want to see these actions in action. We will be watching closely and expect complete transparency from you. This not only affects our family but the entire community," Copper, Julia, always attentive to details, added. "And we want to see regular reports on the progress of these initiatives. We don't want this to fade over time." John agrees with all points. "Of course, we can provide quarterly reports on our efforts and results. We are committed to turning this situation into an opportunity to grow and learn." As the meeting progressed, it became clear that the Thompson family was determined to ensure their demands were met. They discussed the specifics of the training, including bringing in speakers from civil rights organizations and creating a safe environment for both employees and customers. After the meeting, they left the restaurant with a sense of progress. "That's a good start," Robert said as they walked back to the car. "But we still have a long way to go. We need to be vigilant," David added. "This cannot just be a temporary response but must be a permanent change," Julia agreed as she reflected on the conversation. "We will make sure they keep their promise. Our community deserves it." In the following days, the Thompson family received many messages of support and gratitude from the community. Many people shared their own experiences and expressed admiration for the Thompson family's courage in facing discrimination head-on. One evening, while gathered in the living room, Robert thought aloud. "It's been a difficult journey, but I think we're making a difference." Evelyn smiled, holding his hand. "Yes, we are, and together we can continue to fight for a just world." The Thompson family's story began to inspire others to speak out against injustice. Small activist groups began to form, focused on promoting equality and fighting racism in their communities. Thompson's battle has become a symbol of resistance and hope, reminder that with unity and determination we can challenge and change this situation. Robert, Evelyn, David, and Julia know that their fight has just begun, but they are ready to face any challenge that comes their way. United by love and justice, they will continue to be a powerful force against discrimination, inspiring others to do the same. By implementing anti-discrimination policies at Grand Lux, the Thompson family feels some relief, but they know there is still more work to be done. The community continues to see them as leaders and advocates of justice, and this responsibility has motivated them to keep moving forward. One morning, while having breakfast together, David brought up some news he had seen on social media. "Do you see this?" David asked, showing him his phone. Another incident of discrimination, this time at a local supermarket. Robert frowned, took David's phone to read the news. "This is unacceptable. It seems the war is far from over." Evelyn looked at her children. "We must continue to fight. We cannot let these things pass unnoticed." Julia, always the most active person on social media, suggested, what if we held a series of talks and workshops on equality and civil rights? We could invite activists and experts came to talk to the community. Robert nodded. That's a great idea, Julia. Let's use our platform to educate and empower others. The family began planning what they called Equality and Justice Week. With Samuel Walker's help, they reached out to many activists, educators, and community leaders. The event will be held at a local community center and open to the public. During the organization, Evelyn had an idea to attract Grand Lux. We could also get the restaurant involved, she suggested. That would show they are committed to change, Robert agreed. I'll talk to John Whitaker. If he's truly committed to change, he'll want to get involved. John Whitaker accepted the invitation immediately and pledged to partially sponsor the event, providing meals for the participants. This helped solidify the partnership between the Thompson family and the restaurant. Demonstrating a shared effort to promote equality, on the day of the event, the community center was packed. People of all ages and backgrounds came to hear talks and participate in workshops. Robert opened the event with an inspirational speech. We are here today because we believe in equality and justice, Robert began, looking at the crowd. Our fight against discrimination does not end with a victory in the courts. It continues in every action, every conversation, every opportunity to educate and empower. Evelyn also shared her experience and encouraged the community. Together, we need to be the change we want to see in the world. We can't wait for others to do it for us together. We are stronger. David and Julia led interactive workshops where young people discussed their own experiences and learned about the importance of standing up against racism. Deep and emotional discussions create a spirit of solidarity and commitment to change. At the end of the event, John Whitaker took the stage to thank the Thompson family and the community. I want to express my gratitude to all of you. What happened at Grand Lux was unacceptable and we are committed to doing better. This event is an important step in that direction. There, after the event, the Thompson family received many thanks and compliments. They feel they have truly made a positive impact on their home community. Gathered in the living room, Robert reflected, today is a big step forward, but we know the journey is long. Evelyn smiled, holding his hand. Yes, but we are ready to move on. We will not stop until justice and equality become a reality for all. David, clearly inspired, added, we will continue to host these events and expand our reach. The fight against discrimination is unstoppable. Julia, with a hopeful smile, concluded, we're just getting started. Our story is just one of many. We need to continue to speak up and encourage others to do the same. United in the common cause of justice and equality, the Thompson family knows there is still work to be done, but they are ready to face any challenge. Confident that together, they can create a better future for everyone. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoy this content as much as we enjoy making it for you. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to receive all our updates. If you want to share ideas or experiences in the comment section, we will be happy to read and respond to you all. See you again in the next video. Best regards.